Today on Brilliance Business TV, we have Tewis-Allen. Kevin started his award-winning career at 15 in the music industry, working for 80s supergroup 5 Star at their Sunningdale mansion as their in-house photographer. At 19, Kevin created the iconic Winston the Churchill bulldog before shooting to fame as a record producer DJ, selling over 20 million records, 13 number ones, and BBC radio producer of the decade 1990 to 2000. Producing music for Beyonce, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Neo, Akon, Lionel Richie, Phil Collins and Usher. In 2008, Kevin swapped his music career and live entertainment career for the corporate world. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have a wonderful guest today, Kevin Tewis-Allen. What an introduction. Success, business. This show is all about business. So I'm really looking forward to picking Kevin's brains today. We are streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. We're also on mspnewsglobal.com. We're also on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes. Going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android, Roku, and many more. And we're also on Business Innovators Radio Network. I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Dreamweaver, Artist, Ranch. So let's bring in our incredible guest, Kevin Tewis-Allen. Kevin, I am really looking forward to a conversation with you today.
Hi, Mark, and a pleasure to be part of your brilliant show. Thank you for inviting me.
So I want to start, Kevin, because most people have heard of this brand, Winston the Churchill bulldog. That is so well known. So tell us how that all come about.
Sure. So I used to run a very successful nightclub in the Southeast. It was the most successful, second to the Ministry of Sound, which was based in Kent. And a lady who used to come to the club said to me, I work at a company called Churchill, and we have a brief out to 4 creative agencies, and our CEO doesn't like what they come back with. You're creative, in brackets, you might know what to do with this. I'm like, right, okay, great. She goes, it's a really simple brief. It's we're a British brand. We have no female car insurers first timers from when they pass on our books, and we want them all to be on our books. We need to remain heritage of Great Britain and be British and all those kind of things, but to be more family appealing. And that was the brief. I'm like, right, okay. She goes, can I speak to you at the weekend, a couple of days away, and let me know your thoughts? So I was like, okay. And I went away. I come back and said, right, okay, I've got a dog. I mean, it's a puppy. Everyone has puppies. Great British means, I mean, you're already called Churchill Insurance, so why don't we name the dog Churchy? And he can have that voice kind of that goes, oh, no, a bit like Winston Churchill. So you've got the Great British brand, puppies for 18-year-old female consumers, and also families and 80-year-old guys as well. It's a universal thing, but girls love puppies. And in those days, it was a nodding dog on the back shelf of the car. But so it could be a cartoon, it could be a film, it could be animation, but whatever you like. And she said, well, great idea. So she goes into Monday morning with the CEO. He goes, love it. That's it. That's the brand. get it. Who's this guy? Brings him in, gives me £1,000 and says, put it on your CV for the rest of your life, kiddo. That's the shape of the future to come. And 29 years in, he's still the face of the brand.
Wow. And I told my parents I was interviewing you, and straight away they all knew the Winston the Churchill dog. Everyone knows that brand. That must give you a lot of pride, Kevin, that seeing that still now today.
It does. I mean, people say to me, one of the questions I ask many people that I see is that, how do you create a sustainable brand 30 years on? And people have no idea. I was like, well, in the 80s, when I was a little boy growing up, I saw Andrex puppies and loo rolls, and I was like, why is a dog related to a loo roll? And then now we have meerkats and cinemas and compare the market. So it's not always obvious, but an animal can desensitize some of the hardships of corporate brands trying to get through. Because one thing about being a brand pioneer is you need to be likable, relatable, and shareable. And sometimes an animal could be a really simple way to get it across the line, where people go, oh, but I really like that brand because of that one thing. And sometimes it can be as simple as a puppy.
And also it's being remembered, isn't it? So most people will remember that insurance company straight away from the Winston the Churchill dog, which is really, really powerful, Kevin.
It's super powerful. You're absolutely right. And that was one of the visions, is around, don't overthink stuff in business, just get to the point. And if a visualization is the key to winning, well, do it. It's quite that simple.
So I want to go back a little bit now, because you used to do record producer, DJ, and you sold over 20 million records, 13 number ones. Take us back a little bit, Kevin, and tell us some of the number ones as well.
Oh, gosh. So, so I started with a couple of guys who were pioneering at the time, called Pete Tong and Judge Jules. They were DJs up in circuit. They did incredibly well, better than me, I have to say. Particularly Pete Tong was fantastic. And they soon found my kind of creative juices and said, you should be doing some stuff in music. And I was like, really? I was like, yeah, you need to. So Judge Jules brought me a track called Josh Shrink, Higher State of Consciousness, and said, look, this is a huge underground record in New York and London, Ibiza, but we want it on, like, now that's what they call Music 20 or whatever it was back in those days. It's now 104, whatever it is. We need a household record. So we need something for Capital FM, Radio 1, Kiss FM. Can you work it? You've got till Friday. This was a Monday morning. So it's like, really? It's like, yeah. So my producer and I, we went to the studio. We did 3 mixes, and Judge Jules hated all of them. He was like, no, rubbish, 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 rubbish. But on the third one, on the Friday, Pete Tong was in the office, and it was about 3 p.m. We were there, and Pete Tong went, what's that? That's amazing. And Judge Jules said, no, I don't like it. He said, no, you're not up to. I'm Radio 1, a Central New Tune guy, Pete Tong. Draw me an acetate now. So they made an acetate within a few hours. He said, that's tonight, the Essential New Tune of the week. That's incredible. Who did that? And he's like, Kevin. And Pete's like, hi, Kevin. I'm Pete. Hi, Pete. Kevin. So, right, that's an anthem. That's this summer's biggest tune. Well done. That's a start. Bang, 6 o'clock. It was the first record on Radio 1. 7 weeks later, we were top 10, and 500,000 copies later, it was the record that cemented my career from a hobby.
Well, they're big clubbing DJs, actually, Kevin. In my younger years, I used to be a clubber in Birmingham a lot, and
yes,
Pete Tong was at a lot of clubs back in the day, I remember.
Huge DJ.
Excellent. Also, I just want to touch on as well, you were BBC radio producer, producing music for Beyonce, Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, Neo, Akon, Lionel Richie, Phil Collins and Usher. These are global names as well. Everyone knows of these. Tell us a little bit about that experience, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean, again, Pete Tong, thanks to him, really. He gave me the BBC Producer of the Decade for Josh Rink, but I went on to produce so many records, and I was, people say, "Oh, you're very lucky." Well, I worked very hard to get there. I didn't come from money. I didn't, my parents were from humble beginnings. So was I. So it was all about the amount of hours I was working, and I sacrificed everything, to be honest. Relationships, sanity, quite frankly, to get me across the line. And it takes a super amount of hard work to work in the music industry. It looks glamorous. It's really not. It's very, very tough. And I got to work with some of the best people in the world. My favorite artist to work with was Janet Jackson. She is a sweetheart. Oh my gosh. She's exactly what you want to meet. You know, when you meet your kind of favorite pop star and they just turn out to be like almost your sister, she's it. She's so kind, so lovely, so talented, ridiculous, and just the sweetest. And on a couple of my profile pictures on social, she's what I call my hug photograph, because I'm like, wicked. Yeah, she was the best.
It's nice when you meet people and they're authentic and nice in real life, because it can also go the other way as well. But that is just incredible, Kevin. Now, you switched into a corporate career, so I've got a few questions I want to ask you. But before I do, just share a little bit about what you're up to now, Kevin, and your focus now.
Sure, yes. I'm currently running a California business around animals and planet. It's called EcoFlix. We're the world's first media company around sustainability and green productions, which means when you come to create a video, a social media profile, or a documentary or live, we can produce something from scratch, which is carbon neutral, which means that we get a report right at the start to say, travel locally, be sustainable, don't use plastic cups, use glass Tupperwares, things like that. That's really important to the future of the company. I've got some other gigs going on. So I work at 10 Downing Street as an advisor. I'm the CMO at Street Soccer. I look after Alpha Talent, which is an influencer agency. So I've got my things in a few ways, but EcoFlix is my main gig, and it's great to be a part of a Gen Z company that's wanting to put all of the profits back into animals and planet. It's just heartwarming, and we have a lovely team. And whilst we're based in California, a lot of the team are in London. We do work in Thailand and Australia and South Africa. So that's currently what I'm up to, which is very exciting.
I think in this day and age, it's really important companies are going down that approach of being really sustainable. It's really, really an important thing to look after the planet and the world. You have such a big CV, Kevin, so I want to ask you how it all got started.
I think it just starts with myself. So I think that when I was 15, I had in England, we have this thing called a careers service. Not everyone has it in the world, but you sit down, you kind of do a CBT, which is a computer programming service, which you write down all the things you're interested in. And the three things come up was a vet, number one, which I would have loved to have been a vet, brilliant, a record producer, and a computer scientist. And my careers advisor said to me, quote, "You're thick." That's what she said to me. "You're thick. You'll never do any of them. So why don't you go and stack biscuits in Tesco's?" And I was like, lovely. I'm fine with anyone who wants to work in a supermarket, but I think I'm built for different stuff than just biscuits. And she said to me, "Whatever, just get out." So I went home to my mum and said, "Mum, I'm going to go to Sunningdale tomorrow, and I'm going to ring the doorbell of my favorite pop group in the world, 5-star, and I'm going to ask them for a job." And she said to me, "Of course you are, darling. That's nuts." And I said, "I'm going." She said, "Okay, go." So I did almost myself. I went to a train, I got to Ascot and to Sunningdale, and I found the house by searching and walking up and down the A30. It's a long road. And then at the gate was one of the group's main members called Stedman. He was the eldest member. And I just said to him, "Sted, I need a job. My careers advisor says I'm no good apart from biscuits and stacking shelves. I'm into photography. I love creativity. Can you help?" And he said to me, "Wow, what good timing. Dad's looking for an in-house photographer. Would you like the job?" And I was like, "Are you actually kidding me?" That no, really, really real, really real. Right now, like, we're looking to appoint somebody now. I'd love you to work for us. So he said, "Bring your mum and dad up tomorrow." And we did. He said, here's my number. Wrote down a phone. Could you imagine Kim Kardashian putting a phone number on a bit of paper and saying, call my dad, he'll get you in the house tomorrow. Like, it just doesn't happen anymore. It can never happen again. So my mum phoned the house and she said, my son's been to your house today and I'm not sure it's real. And it was like, it's real. Is this guy called Kevin? Yeah, right. Okay, come tomorrow, meet my dad, blah, 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 blah. And we turned up on the Sunday. It was like 500, 600 fans outside the gates. It was mobbed. It was crazy. Drive through the gates, loads of paparazzi, cameras everywhere. And then Buster, who was the father of the group, said, really like you, would you come on a photo shoot Monday morning? We're shooting in Shepperton Studios. We've got a tour in Los Angeles. Just shoot everything behind the scenes. I want like a kind of almost like a home life photo book of how we work and who we are and where we do it and who we say. It's great. And it was honestly, it was the moment that changed my life.
That brings me nicely on to my next question, because you decided you wanted something and you just went for it and had that courage to just go and knock on someone's door. And it's just funny how your mum was in disbelief. So when you come back saying, I got the gig, that's incredible. So that's a good key to becoming successful, actually. If you want something, just go for it. But my next question is, what is the key to being successful?
It's being brave. And I know.
Yes.
So I did a session recently around what would you tell your 18-year-old self? And it's the hardest question. You'll know this, right? If you've got to stand in front of 50 people and on slide behind you is what your age now tells your 18-year-old self, it's a hard gig, right? Because you're going to have to expose who you were, what your flaws were, where you're at mentally, where you're at sexually, where you're at commercially, everything's on the board behind you. Like, holy coulda doodles, this is going to be big. And for me, I was a very painful teenager. I was really shy. I was really reclusive. I didn't really want to be around anyone. And I now know understanding, because I was writing chart positions in books, and which was now called an algorithm. And I was working out how to make a hit record from 13. I know it was the year 13 because I started to have sleep problems. I was like, oh, why does that record work and why does that one doesn't? Which is why I'm in the music industry. But I think the one thing, if I could go back and say to my 18-year-old self, brave, grab hold of everything you can and be brave, much braver than you ever thought you could be, and just do it. Because bravery allows you, and there's a look, I've worked I think music industry is one of the worst industries in the world because it's cocky, horrible, misogynistic, homophobic. It's not great, right? But if you can be brave and not cocky or bully, then you'll thrive. And bravery is a wonderful term because it's kindness, it's caring, it's authentic, and that sensibility around the purpose, which is one of the reasons I do these interviews and I work with lots of young people, is that you don't have to be this crazy superstar like esque in brackets. It doesn't work, because when you go up, the fall down is fast and it's long. So be kind when you grow up, be kinder when you work with people, and just be brave for the right reasons and not the wrong ones, and it will serve you very well.
We have very similar values. You can be brave, you can have courage, you can even be firm but fair, but you can still be a nice person, Kevin, can't you? You don't have to be so ego-driven. And I think people who are nice in business do thrive, because there are so many people that aren't nice in business as well. What brands do you look up to? Because we know you've done the Winston the Churchill, and that's a huge brand. What brands do you look up to, Kevin?
Yeah, sure. It's a good answer. So I absolutely am obsessed with the brand Gymshark. So I kind of know the owner by LinkedIn, but not personally. But they had a vision 2013 to separate a gym clothing brand as opposed to Nike, Reebok, Gold's Gym, Under Armour, and they've absolutely smashed it. And the reason why is because they understood what I would call consumers to a level that those brands didn't. So Nike do very, very well in the world, but the reason Gymshark has smashed it is because they put, look, sex sells in the world. We all know that, whether you're Victoria's Secrets or Gymshark or Under Armour, right? A good-looking guy or girl or trans person smashes it, and you go, great, I want to look like that. Because being a parent, I've lost some of the bits that I loved when I was in my 30s, and I want to get back to that. And I think Gymshark has done an amazing job around being the right brand around culture, innovation, design. And I love the fact that Ben, the CEO, then resigned his position and went back to the chief brand officer, which is very rare. You never see like brands like Nike where the CEO goes, "Oh, I don't do numbers and law and people. I just want to design." And I think that's super cool. I have another friend who's got a brand called Huel, Huel, incredible guy. He was back in the day with Monster and Red Bull, and he's taken Huel to be a £1 billion business as well. Two people that have just done from zero to hero. No investment either. Well, Huel's recently took investment, but I love the fact that you can get real stories, some real innovation in Britain without finance and kill it. And you take the monsters like Nike and Under Armour and PepsiCo and Lucozade for a run for the money. Those two brands to me are just killing it, and they've been some of the top pieces of my life for quite a few years.
Excellent. And I get what you mean about when we were in our 30s. I'm 40 now, Kevin. So I'm 41 I'm 41 in a few months. So the good old days, hey. But Kevin, we need to go to a commercial break, so please stay where you are. Thank you everyone for joining us for part 1 of Brilliance Business TV. We're in conversation with Kevin Tewis-Allen, and what a conversation so far. Stay tuned.
Hello everybody, Cyberchuck 2.0 here. I'm so excited to be able to share my vision of Dreamweaver's Artist Ranch. They say you can't choose your family. Not only am I saying you can choose your family, you get to thrive with your family here at Dreamweaver's Artist Ranch. It's a place for like-minded individuals to come together to share experiences and gain experiences, not only through workshops, through performances, and through exhibits. This is a place where you can disconnect from the outside world and reconnect into a community of people that there is no judgment. There's only support. And this place is an amazing place to grow and to tap into your highest potential and to be able to show off all your talents. This is a place you can come and network and really thrive. I'm so excited for Dreamweaver's Artist Ranch. This is a place where dreams actually come true. I love you all so very much. I'll talk to you all later. Peace.
Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV. We're in conversation with Kevin Tewis-Allen. Welcome back, Kevin.
Thanks, bud.
So my next question, how do you make a sustainable brand?
Right. Okay. So the keys to it are two things: likability and shareability. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to make this really simple for people to understand, is that if we were on Facebook today, Mark, and I shared a video that I thought you'd like, I'd tag you in it. But I'd only tag you in it if I knew that you would know how much it was relevant to you.
Yes.
Because by tagging you in it, it's insanely personal. And if I tag you in the wrong video, you DM me within 2 minutes to go, what was that about? I'm like, I've no interest in a holiday in the Maldives. I like Florida, right? So what are you doing that for? And those brands that create messages, communications, and values that are taggable and shareable and relatable are the ones that really fly. So I was very privileged to be a part of the original Unilad team that ended up being Lad Bible. And that was where I learned that trick. I mean, I thought I knew video until I went to Unilad, and it was insane to see 360 videos go up on one channel, just Facebook at that point, because they were new to the Facebook channel, a day, and get 4 billion video views a month. 4 billion. That's 2/3 of the planet were watching a Facebook page. It was just numbers I'd never seen, numbers I'll never see again, but an exercise where I learned that if you get your video right and your messaging or your person in front of it or the values that you're talking were relatable and shareable, they're the only two things you ever need, then you are going to rock and you're going to rock for a long time, which is where Churchill comes back into the mix, because a dog is very relatable. Because I think in London, England, we have 9.8 million dogs. I think that's a stat. In the States, it's triple that, 36 million dogs, crazy number. And then, is a dog shareable? Well, yes, because a dog is cute and a dog does something funny. It might moan, it might bark, it might spin, it might dance, it might do something really cool. So the two things always come back. So a meerkat is very likable and shareable as well. That's why they do well. And Andric's puppy was back to that kind of thing as well. So you just have to, sustainability is forward thinking. You've got to future proof. So if, for instance, you're just going to do something for this year around, I don't know, a flower or the Queen's Jubilee, it's great, but it's got a lifetime which is not comparable. So you have to choose something that's got and there's a lot of stuff out there. So there's a brand called Jubilab, which is very good around data. So a lot of stuff I work at is around data-driven marketing. So if I present an idea to the team, I never say, I think, I say, I know. And it's a major difference, because the team go, okay, he actually knows what he's talking about. He's got a level of expertise behind him that's not just in here, it's on this bit of paper. And he's saying to us, it's a great idea in here, but I've done the research and it shows here that it works. So the client, the CFO, the agency, they all going to go, well, I can't refute the second piece because he's shown me the evidence that it's working. And sustainability is built on those constructs.
I like that, Kevin. You say, I know, rather than I think. It's a lot more powerful for sure. And that's why they don't refuse you. Now, management is so important, Kevin. What are the keys to managing global teams? I think you have frozen. I'll give you a couple of seconds. There you go. You're back again.
There we go. The powers of the internet. So yeah, great question. I think this is the best question you've asked me, is empathy. The first one has to be empathy, because I've run businesses in teams in New Zealand, Australia, Dubai, London, New York, California, Hawaii. And apart from timelines, which are a stretch, particularly in Australia, when you need to be up at 3 or 4 a.m. to do a call, or midnight opposite, you have to remember that people have a bad day, and so do clients. So I say to all of my teams is that when you get on that call with the client, no matter how small or big they are, and they could be as big as PepsiCo, probably the person you're speaking to might be having a tough day. So we're going to come at them with solutions focused, and we're going to be their business partner rather than their paying client. And we're going to be empathetic to their day, the current brief, and also their team, because we're all humans. We have good and bad days. And the way we focus forward, or all of my teams going forward, is understand the people you're dealing with more than the other person that did the call before or the call after. And I tell you what, we've all been there, the other side of the coin. The person that goes, I've got this, no matter whatever goes on today, this is my call, my phone. You can call me. I'm on 24/7, and we will make it work. And I can tell you what, that empathy and that diligence and that detail will make you a brand winner.
I have to agree, Kevin. And unfortunately, in the business world, a lot of people, even really high successful people, sometimes they do lack empathy, which is so important to have empathy. I think that is definitely a great tip that you have shared there. Now, you did talk a little bit about tagging and things on social media. Could you share some more tips on producing key content?
Yeah, so I mean, have you got a particular platform that you want to talk about? Because all kind of my 7, which are called LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they've all got different things. Have you got one you'd like to speak? Is it LinkedIn? Is because it's a business conversation? Would you like me to talk about LinkedIn first, or where would you like me to start?
I think for the audience, LinkedIn would probably be better. If you were asking me, I would say TikTok or Instagram, but let's go
Yeah.
with LinkedIn for the
I've started
audience.
TikTok and I love it. So I've had some really advanced LinkedIn training. So one of my previous sales directors is the global agency director of the world, which is great. You get stuff. So first of all, put a photograph up. If you don't so LinkedIn's algorithm is built against success in a really weird way. Don't quote me on that, but you will. So if you put a photograph up on your profile, and so many people still don't have photographs, you're 7 times less likely to be searchable. Major problem, right? Secondly, headline. Make sure you put if you look at my profile, there's like a 13-word, then a summary, then what I do. And it's really important you follow those guidelines because they built the tech to serve the tech community. That's really important as well. Also, you need to try and I'm bad at this at the moment because I'm so busy. Post regularly, news updates, blogs, white papers, videos, hashtags, comments. The more you're involved, I was at Ad Week last week in London, best ad week in the world. It was fantastic. I shared the stage with Ant Deck, which is incredible, and I love them. They're so cool. And they talked about creativity, but all week I was on LinkedIn going bang, 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 bang. And I have roughly 8,500 followers on LinkedIn. My algorithm was at 5,500 a day of views. I'm like, that's 75-ish% of my audience punch in around. And it's just LinkedIn, you have to be current. It's become a news thing about business, and that's fine. You don't need to. The bit that gets me annoyed is the polls. There are so many polls I see in LinkedIn. I'm like, would you want an orange, a strawberry, or a raspberry? I'm like, really? No. There's the polls need to end. But LinkedIn is an amazing way to connect to the business community. It's the number one in the world. There's 1 billion people on LinkedIn right now, and that's 1/6 of the planet. And we need to just get amongst it and say, what do I stand for? What are my values? What can I change? Who I am? And be honest. And I did a post about I met a lady last week who she's got a brand new company called Mums in Marketing. And I was like, Mums in Marketing? I love this. She's like, yeah, but I'm struggling to get it off the ground. I was like, do you know what? I'm going to do it. And I did this massive post about Mums in Marketing. I copied in about 30 people who are proper industry leaders. The post went nuts. She came back to me an hour later. She cried on my shoulder in the event. I was like, why are you crying? She goes, oh my God, your post. I've got so many messages. People want to work with me. I was like, good. Then I feel completely alive right now that I've done something good for you for free. That's accelerated your business. Why would you do that? I said, because I can. I have this phrase. People create great people because they can. And I think that I never had a mentor. She didn't have one. I was like, I've got a tiny window in her life. It's probably about 16 hours to make a difference. And she gets one thing right, and it's because of me. Loving that. So I did it, and she smashed it. And she's just been a delight for the past week and a half. I've had so many lovely messages from her. She's absolutely crazy, but I love her. And she's going to fly, because your idea about mums in marketing is great, because there's so many people with parents who are mums who leave industries who can't then come back into C-suite roles because they're now a mum, and it's disgusting. It's like, you know what? Whatever you need, I'll be there for life for free, and we can work it together. And that, for me, LinkedIn is where you can really change someone's career and change stuff up for the better.
That's beautiful, Kevin, because when you feel like something's not working out, it can feel not nice and really frustrating. And you've really turned that round for her and really give her that big boost. That's really changing someone's life in a way, Kevin. That's a great thing to do. How much do channels play a part in business success?
Oh, they're just incredible, all of them. Honestly, like I spend my entire week talking around audience channels, because I have all of my week is around brand, saying around what do I need to do, what do I say, where do I say it, when do I say it, and I'm like, right, firstly, who's your audience? Are you Gen Z, 12 to 24, millennials, 24 to 44, mums and dads, probably me and you, then that one. And then baby boomers over 60s. I'm like, great, fine. So channels are so important, and they've become, in a way, I quite like how they become very separate, because it makes it easy to target on marketing. For instance, TikTok, which I'm absolutely obsessed with at the moment because it's so easy to use. It's brilliant. I never got Snapchat. The one thing I struggled with, the only struggle I had was Snapchat. I didn't get it. I hated the UX. The UI was awful. TikTok kills it. They've got a great understanding of how you upload a video, what you can say, how you do your effects and stuff. Brilliant. So yeah, channels are really, really, really important. So remember, Twitter, sport and business, Twitter, number one. Really, 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 really good. So when you like hop onto a match game or Monaco Grand Prix or Sky Bet Fair or 365 Paddy Power, bang, Twitter is up. LinkedIn, middle ground right now. Twitter, very cool with consumer stuff. So fun, humor, and that's, I think as well, is that a good thing I need to just get across in this interview is that in the entertainment industry, we've forgotten how to have fun. I said this a couple of weeks ago on deck, is that because you make music or film or poetry or art or write books or write scripts, it is fun. You are providing an entertainment service, even if it's a darker subject, like perhaps a horror movie that's a bit dark, but you are in entertainment. You are providing people with a fun service. Never forget that online either, because it transcends. So whether you are Unilad or Michael McIntyre or James Corden, people have that kind of 5 minutes in the day. I call it breakfast, brunch, lunchtime, drive time, bedtime, right? Those 5 minutes in a day where people go, I'm going to hit my phone because I'm bored with work. I'm going to go, I need 3 minutes. People want to be entertained. Never forget, entertainment is the key to driving business, success, and humility through content. Is so important, and people forget it every time. And the amount of times I want to say to Saturday, people go, oh yeah, it's a really good shout. I was like, Jesus Christ, you're in film. Just have fun. Have fun. People watch, have fun. Why do you need to be serious? Have fun with it. Have fun with your team. Have fun with the crew. Have fun with everything. Just be lighter in your touch. Just keep it simple.
I think even in business, we can all have more fun as well and be more entertaining, because business at times can be very, very serious, Kevin. And you did touch on the keys for audiences and specific targeting. You did talk about targeting a little bit there. Can you just go over the keys of audience and specific targeting?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it's depending on your brand. So let's just take a random brand. Let's add James one here, right? It's Diet Coke. There you go. Diet Coke. It's a big brand for what we thought females. Actually, it's my favorite drink. I'm not female. So they got their audience targeting wrong, didn't they? So if you're going to do something different with a big consumer brand, food, FMCG, clothing, you need to know where the value comes in through some of the influencers. Influencers are fantastic. So I look after a company called Alpha Talent, who are absolutely amazing. They look after some talent around Love Island and consumers like that. And they help brands accelerate stories through storytelling. And storytelling is a word we've kind of forgotten to use, because it's, again, you said serious. It is very serious. And audiences live on bespoke channels. And I do admit, when I wake up in the morning, I'm not sure what your first step in the day, Mark, is, but I'm probably mixed between Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Then I moved to TikTok and maybe Facebook for my mum, because that's where she lives now, right? So mum doesn't do tech, she does Facebook. I'm cool with that. But just knowing where your audience is, and again, the evidence piece is impressive, because I never go to a meeting and say, your customers are living on TikTok, without a report that goes, I know where your audience is. Because if you do, quite frankly, you look a bit of an idiot. And it's not a great look. You need to know, when you're running business at this level, at a CEO level, you have to know your audience and their habits. The habits are important because they change also. And I think going forward, I think the stat was March, 9% of the UK over 25 signed up to TikTok. That was 6 million adults over 25 signed into TikTok. So when a brand like Boots or Tesco or Samsung or Nike comes to me and says, TikTok's for kids, I'm like, no, it's not. Not anymore. It might have been a year ago. As of February, March, it changed. So you've got to be mindful of data around evidence decisions in marketing, audience targeting, and platforms. And they are forever changing, which is why you've got to be really on it around the numbers and what you're trying to achieve. Because it's amazing. Mark, the amount of times I have a chat with a brand, say, what's your aims and objectives? They tell me the objectives, but there's no aims. I'm like, you've told me the objectives, but there's no aims. Well, that's the same thing, is it? No. Aims. What do you want to do? Objectives, how are you going to get there? Honestly, I spend my week being like a whiteboard. I'm like, what are we doing? Where are we going? And I love it in a way because it's refreshing, because the teams sit there and scratch their head and go, yeah, he's right. Actually, he's just made it simple. He's made it entertaining, and he's focused on who we need to be focused on. So yeah, audience target platforms, so important. It depends on the brand who's asking the question, is the answer to your question. But yeah, you got to really focus on what you're trying to deliver. CTAs, sales, lead generation, brand awareness. It's up to the brand to decide what the question is.
You have shared so much value, wisdom today, Kevin, and my key takeaway from now on is I'm always going to know and not think. Now, Kevin, I'm coming to my last question now. My last question for today is, what is next for Kevin Tewis-Allen? You've already achieved so much. Is there anything new that you're working on that you would like to share?
Yeah, there is. So I've recently been signed as an author. So I've always had an amazing amount of respect for the paranormal in the world. It's not everyone's.
Oh, I like all that stuff.
Yeah. So I've been signed by London Literary Agency for a 6 series of books, which I've already written the big one, which is 110,000 words, so a monster. And I'm looking for, so where the music industry ended, because it unfortunately did end and it's never coming back, is my love for writing and music and film has always been lost since the day I resigned in 2008, which seems an awful long time ago. So particularly during COVID, I wanted to reinvent some of those fires. The book industry in the UK is worth £6 billion still. Stats, see, evidence, numbers, they matter. So I rewrote the script I did 15, 16 years ago in LA, presented it to a team, and they said, it's absolutely amazing. We'll sign you on the spot, which is like, great. So books, I'm going to try and spend the next 30 years hopefully earning another writer of the decade instead of producer, probably not Pete Tong this time, and create a series of books that will entertain the world. Because one of the things in music that I love the most is when I flew to Germany in 1998 with Paul van Dyk, another huge DJ in Europe, and I watched 1 million people dance to my record when it was #1 in the charts. But honestly, the thing that gives you in your heart and your mind and your soul is mind-blowing. And to do something similar with books or children's entertainment or writing, I'm going to do it one more time before I go to my grave and say, go get it.
Why just one more time? There's still life in the old dog yet, Kevin.
There is. I think it takes 20 years to build a career at that level. It took me 16 years in music to kill it. I think it'll take me a little bit longer in books. So I'm going to focus the next half of my life on children's entertainment and see if I can make a Harry Potter style series that the world goes, wow, that dude was pretty cool.
Kevin, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you. I would encourage everyone to follow Kevin Tewis-Allen on LinkedIn. Kevin, thank you so much for being my guest today. I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you.
Brilliant. Great channel. All the best to you, sir. Good luck with your business.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. Until next time, bye for now.